All right, Mackenzie, I think we've exhausted our own personal trials and tribulations. It's to be continued because there's other things that are happening in the real estate market. But on that same theme, let me carry this forward. We talked about developers in the last two segments. We'll put that on the website for people to see on the social media pages, therealestateexperts.com. But what we really talked about in the last two segments was how people are deceptive in business, especially real estate. There is I believe, conspiracy of effort by the real estate community. And when I say conspiracy, I think it's by the nature of how we operate. I don't mean it's that necessarily everybody gets together and says, how can we screw over everybody? I don't think it happens that way. I think it's commission driven.
If people are self-serving.
It's self-serving.
And I do believe that in the beginning that everyone has the intent to do good. I really think that maybe there's one or two people
I don't agree with that
who
anymore.
don't really care, but psychopaths possibly.
I don't agree
know
with that
these
at all.
things. However,
I don't agree with that at all. I think people intend to do good based upon their own distorted, wicked definition of good, and that in and of itself is evil.
I just know that if people sometimes have a choice to either throw you overboard or, like if they're going to be in the lifeboat or you're going to be in the lifeboat, they're going to throw you overboard
just
first.
To make sure they have got plenty of comfort while they're in the lifeboat. That's really where we've gotten to as a country. That's a good analogy. It used to be we'd all pile in the lifeboat
and you'd make room.
And we'd make room and we'd take the risk we were going to sink the lifeboat just to try to save everybody, right? And that I think that is a good human nature heroes, right? Yeah. And that was the country that we built, and that's how we built this great country. Where we've gotten to now in a great percentage of our society
save yourself.
It's that I'm going to get in the lifeboat. Come on, you're my wife with the two kids, and we got room for 30 other people, but we're going to throw them all overboard because we want to be able to sleep comfortably while we're in the lifeboat
and have enough food,
and we don't want to run out while everybody else drowns and dies, and we have no conscience that everybody else drowned and died because we made it to safety with plenty of food, plenty of comfort, and we didn't have to sit there tight quarters while we waited to get rescued. That's kind of where the country's gotten.
I just see the Titanic. I just see that movie just playing over and over.
But if you watch that movie Titanic from 1996-97, it displays what I just told you. That's human nature. Human nature has always been selfish, self-centered, self-serving, and people have always done that. And one of the biggest things that was a tragedy about the Titanic sinking was the fact that they had lifeboats that were half full, and there were people, I think, 1,100 souls left on the Titanic that died because they had no boats to get on. They went down with the ship. And so the reason they went down with the ship is so that some people were so elitist, so better than thou, so egregious that they basically threw off the steerage, the trash of the ship, the lower class people, because they couldn't possibly ride the lifeboat to safety with someone beneath them. This is exactly what we just talked about in the first two segments, is that people beneath the developer, the powerful people of our society, are being stomped on. That's why it amazes me that the vast majority of this country buys into the political division that both sides put forth, because Republicans and Democrats don't exist in the average American. It's conservatives and liberals. And conservatives and liberals have the same basic challenges and issues. It's all of us against all these powerful people who seek to divide and conquer us. And that's the battle in our culture right now. So when I talk about the pursuit of profit, the developers that take advantage of people, and the fact that you have the real estate community, one of the things we led here with is the fact that you're a realtor, I'm not. The reason I'm not a realtor is Andy Stanley, whom I respect greatly, of North Point Ministries, says what you join, you're under. So if you join something, you sort of have to follow the rules of what you join. So the more you join, the more you're controlled by society. That's why everybody wants you to be part of something. They want to control you. So I don't join much anymore because I think I have good judgment, and I join only those things where I think I can make a real difference and not destroy my own life doing it. Still make mistakes doing that. And so now we have all these realtors running around out here that are brand new licensed. They are checking through boxes to get their license, get their realtor designation, getting the FMLS, getting the Georgia MLS. And
it just looks like a great time to buy and sell. People are making money left and right, flippers. I have teachers who have never even purchased their own home flipping properties.
Well, so they're rushing into the business for the gold rush of 2018.
Right.
And in terms of real estate agents, they're out running around with people. And I asked you a question at the beginning of the show. Are you experiencing real estate agents that are bringing contracts and offers on properties that their clients and they have never seen.
I am. And it's funny, and it's not in every area. It's in some hard to get into areas when the inventory.
Let's call it what it is, Lawrenceville.
Right? Lawrenceville,
Yeah.
Decatur, some of the inventory is scarce, I would say. I mean, things are still coming. There's still opportunity, but people want to get in. That's where they want to be. So sometimes you'll see contracts, but it's just to tie the property up. Then they go see the property.
And then they bail out.
do their
It's
due
like
diligence.
it's like they're writing.
Then they ask for a price reduction.
It's like they're writing a contract before they'll do a showing, which I think is entering a contract in bad faith. If you're entering into a contract, a bilateral agreement with someone that is for the sake of doing something, and you put this contract on the property. I just ran into this. I had 3 of these in the last 2 weeks. 1 burned me, 2 didn't. I caught them. But the third one now is somebody who didn't see the property. But here's the problem. The contract called for earnest money. And when I followed up to find out 3 days, 4 days into this thing, where's the earnest money? What's the status? They hadn't contacted me. I called to follow up because I want to know the earnest money's been processed with the closing attorney. It hasn't been. And I'm informed, he looked at it, decided he didn't want it. He didn't bother to tell us that he didn't want it. He didn't have the courtesy to tell us he didn't want it. He didn't have the courtesy or the legal acumen to understand you've agreed to purchase this property subject to due diligence.
People don't follow contracts.
And you have to put money down, right? If you don't put the money down, you're in breach of contract and you've damaged the seller because you have just evidenced
wasted time.
You've entered the contract in bad faith. Now, I understand that if he put the money down, that then the seller has to abide by the contract on the terms, which says there's a due diligence period. I don't even know if the due diligence period might have expired by now. But the point of this is that you've got this dumbass agent running around out there who's wasting his time writing offers and wasting other people's times writing offers on properties his client hasn't seen and he hasn't shown, only to get into the door, decide he don't want it, has no skills, acumen, or courtesy to call and say we've not done it, and has done nothing to facilitate the contract. To me, that's a great tort and liability that's going on there, and it's the responsibility of the real estate community to police these people. But instead, what does he do? When I ask him...
Lazy.
He starts blaming me for not understanding due diligence. If you don't put the money down on the contract you've signed and we've ratified, then you are in breach of contract. That means could be damages. Damages are hard to prove, but it could be the earnest money. You know what I made him do?
Send the earnest money.
Put the earnest money in the account, prove to me it's there, and then send me a unilateral notice to terminate. I'm going to make you go through the steps because here's the problem with our society. Is it worth my time, personally, Brian Selfish Crabtree? I've renamed my middle name. Brian Selfish Crabtree. Is it worth my time to make this jackass put the earnest money in the account from his client and turn around and then release it and release the thing unilaterally? No, it's not worth my time. But you know what I want? I don't want to sue him for commission. I don't want damages.
I just want people to be accountable.
I want him to be accountable. I want him to have to explain to his client that what he did require earnest money, because I bet you he lied. I don't know he lied, but I bet he did.
He may not even know.
Or if he didn't lie, but see here, let me define crookedness for you as it relates to real estate.
Incompetence and crookedness are different.
Take a deep breath. If you're on the driving down the road, you may drive off the side of the road when I explain this to you, because you may have never heard it put this way. Let me describe what a crook is in business, not just real estate, but in business. A crook is someone. This is Brian's definition of crook.
Your opinion.
A crook. It's my opinion for all the lawyers who are listening intently right now to try to find
one. Taking notes.
The private investigators, they're coming after me because I've dared to take to the public to hold the powerful accountable 11 alive.
You're so funny because they could just ask you the same question and you would give them the same answer.
Yeah. Wait till the depositions come. They think they get Radio Brian in depositions. Oh, no. I'm not. Radio Brian is for the audience's entertainment and for the truth, factual enlightenment. Deposition Brian is very prepared to answer your questions exactly as you asked them, so you better get them right. So what was I saying? You distracted me. Crooked is anyone who harms someone else and doesn't take responsibility.
Whether knowing or not knowing.
Whether they're incompetent, stupid, retarded, or just outright criminal. I don't really care. When I say the word crooked, I don't mean criminal. Could be. I don't know. How do I know if someone's criminal or not? Until I have all the facts and evidence, I can't possibly say someone's criminal. So when I say crooked, that doesn't mean that they are a thief. They may be a de facto thief. They may steal unwittingly. They may take something that's not theirs. They may convert assets that don't belong to them or that they don't have full rights to and convert them to their greater benefit while taking away from someone else. That to me is crooked. I don't know if it's criminal. That's for the FBI to say. I'm not the law. But what I can say without a doubt is that if you take something that's not yours knowingly or unknowingly, if you cause harm to someone else wittingly or unwittingly, if you do something that otherwise creates a negative effect on someone else wittingly or unwittingly, without provocation, by the way.
If you don't represent or you do represent incorrectly
your client, wittingly or unwittingly, and it causes harm, and you don't accept some responsibility or at least accept accountability for those actions, you are crooked. That's my opinion.
What do you think about disclosure? And disclosure, I mean, you can't disclose if you don't know.
The question then becomes, do you have a duty to know? See, this is where crooked gets to be a very interesting definition. If I ignored something because I was afraid of what I was going to find out.
Or you didn't know for sure.
Well, I didn't know for sure, but I ignored nonetheless. I was presented with something that a reasonable person would have said, wow, I might want to look at that again and make sure that, I don't know, that since the floor is spongy like that it's not about to fall into the earth. As a seller who, let's say, sells lots of properties, okay? So if I found that on one of my properties, my reaction, and I'm not trying to be better than thou, sanctimonious, self-righteous. God knows I'm as flawed as anybody. But if I was jumping on the floor and it felt more like a trampoline than the floor, I'm probably going to send somebody under to check it out for two reasons. Number one, I want to make sure I don't get bitten by this through inspection. And number two, I don't want the buyer to fall through the floor and then sue me. So I want to do it right the first time. We'll be right back.